There is a quiet war happening inside you, a war between who you are and who you could be. Every morning, you wake up with that strange mix of guilt and exhaustion. You tell yourself, I'll start today, but then hours pass and nothing changes. You end the day feeling like a failure again, asking, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just do it? But here's the truth. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're just lost. We often confuse lack of direction with lack of discipline, but those two things are not the same. Discipline without clarity is like running in circles, exhausting, but going nowhere. What you're missing isn't effort, it's meaning, and meaning is the only fuel that lasts. The myth of laziness society has convinced us that laziness is a moral failure, that if you're not constantly grinding, something's wrong with you. But that's not psychology, that's propaganda. Real psychology tells us something else. When your mind can't find a clear path forward, it shuts down to protect you. It's not rebellion, it's self-defense. Your brain says, if we don't know where we're going, better not waste energy running. So you procrastinate, you scroll, you avoid. Not because you don't care, but because you care too much. The fear of failure becomes stronger than the desire to start. So your mind freezes in the middle. The confusion between comfort and purpose. You've been taught to chase comfort, to avoid pain, conflict, and effort. But every meaningful life begins with discomfort. Growth doesn't happen when you're safe. It happens when you're uncertain. The problem isn't laziness. It's misalignment. You're fighting battles that aren't even yours. You're chasing goals you don't believe in. You're working for approval that never satisfies you. As Viktor Frankl wrote in Man's Search for Meaning, when a man can define a deep sense of meaning, he distracts himself with pleasure. That's what's happening today. Millions of people numbing their pain with noise, distraction, and endless scrolling. Not because they're lazy, but because they've lost connection with their purpose. The real reason you can't start. Starting something new is terrifying. It's not about energy, it's about identity. Because every time you try, you're forced to confront the possibility of failure. And deep down, you fear that failure says something permanent about who you are. But that's a lie. Failure isn't identity, it's feedback. The greatest achievers aren't the most talented. They're the ones who dared to begin again after failing. They learned to separate their self-worth from their results. When you stop equating failure with shame, starting becomes easier. Because suddenly, nothing is at stake except learning. Finding direction again, you don't overcome laziness with pressure. You overcome it with clarity. Here's how you start rebuilding direction. Disconnect to reconnect. Turn off the noise, the constant scrolling, the comparisons, the endless content. They all distort your sense of self. Spend one evening without distractions and write down what truly matters to you. Redefine success. Maybe it's not money. Maybe it's not status. Maybe success is simply being proud of who you are when no one's watching. Start absurdly small. One page, one push-up, one task. The goal is not progress, it's momentum. The smallest step forward destroys the illusion of paralysis. Forgive yourself. You're not behind. You're not late. You're exactly where you're supposed to be, at the beginning of understanding yourself. The lost art of stillness. Our modern world punishes stillness. We equate silence with wasted time. But stillness is where clarity grows. Sit in silence for 10 minutes a day. No phone, no distractions. At first, your mind will panic. It'll scream, "This is useless." But soon, the noise begins to fade. And the real voice, the quiet one you've been ignoring, finally speaks. It tells you what you actually want, who you actually are, and where you should actually go. That voice is not laziness. That voice is you. The way back. You're not supposed to have everything figured out, but you are supposed to try. Trying is enough. Every step toward clarity strengthens the part of you that wants to live consciously. And every time you ignore that call, the fog thickens. So when you feel lost, stop trying to push harder. Try to listen deeper, because your mind doesn't need more motivation. It needs direction. The truth about changing your life: people often think transformation happens overnight. But it doesn't. Change isn't a moment. It's a decision repeated until it becomes identity. You don't need to fix your whole life this week. You just need one honest evening with yourself. Ask, what am I avoiding? What am I pretending not to know? And what would my life look like if I stopped lying to myself? When you answer those questions truthfully, you'll realize you were never lazy. You were always capable. You just needed a direction that felt like yours. The closing reflection. There is a beautiful line by Nietzsche that fits perfectly here. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. When you rediscover your why, energy follows. You stop waiting for motivation. You become it. Because clarity gives birth to momentum. So tonight, don't scroll. Sit down with a notebook, a pen, and silence. Write your truth, no matter how ugly or confusing it looks. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need honesty. That's where real change begins. Because the day you stop calling yourself lazy is the day you finally start finding yourself again.